Hi, everyone. Hello, my dear friends, and um, just everyone that knows me, that's been following my story. I just want to take the time to say thank you. Thank you for checking in, for the text messages, for the calls. Um, if you don't know, a lot has happened in the past year, and I'm very, very excited to share with you guys if you allow me. So, first, I want to start by reading a verse that really, I've known this verse for a while. And in fact, I wrote a poem based on this verse years ago. And this was the word that God put on my friend's heart to share with me at the beginning of the year. And it has stayed true. So I'm going to read out of the NIV, and it's Isaiah 43:19. It says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." Amen. So for those of you that don't know, I had a baby, and that is why I've been MIA for the past year or so. He is my husband's and I's first child and the most precious, precious boy. I mean, we could not have asked for a more perfect baby. And I know all parents say that, but I don't know, he's pretty perfect. His name is Luke Asher McMullen. He was born October 22nd, 2022 at 11:16 a.m. in the morning. Actually, a year ago, around this time, late April, I had gone to the clinic, or actually I went to the hospital, and I just went for a checkup, and I was let known, it was, brought to my attention that I was expecting. And during that time, if I'm being honest and real with you, which, that's really all I can be, I was I was glad, but also scared. I was anxious. We had just moved, my husband and I, from New Jersey to Palm Coast, Florida, which is where we live. And there was a lot of uncertainty. I had started school again. I said to myself that I was going to finish my career in nursing. I was going to finish nursing school since I've had so many hiccups. And I was on track, right? I was studying. I was, getting really good grades, straight A's, and just kind of giving it my all. And at that same time, I had started a new job working at the hospital, at our local hospital here. And I was working as a tech, and I was working nights. And, everything just seemed, in my mind, to be aligned, right? And I was excited. We were actually planning our wedding reception because Jeff and I got married by the courthouse in New Jersey in September of 22. And we said that we were going to have a wedding later on. And so we started planning it. I bought the dress, I had the venue, and it's so funny because, we always say that we make plans and, God has other plans. And that is exactly what happened. I thought that my life was going in one direction, and then I found out that, I was expecting, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. But at the same time, I was very overjoyed. I was nervous, don't get me wrong, because there was a lot of uncertainty. But I know that, when God has a plan and his plan prevails in our lives, it turns out even better than expected. And that's exactly what happened. My pregnancy was very hard. For all my moms out there, pregnancy itself is hard, okay? Like, everyone has a different journey for sure, but just your body, getting ready to birth a child, the changes and the trauma that our bodies as women go through during that process is nothing short of beautiful and amazing and a miracle. And I finally understood why they call it the miracle of life. I had a very tough pregnancy, and that is just an understatement. I kept up with my regular prenatal visits, and I was seeing the OB. I was deemed to have a high-risk pregnancy from the beginning. I was very sick all the time. There were days, especially my first trimester, where I couldn't even get out of bed. And I was very sick. I, was hanging on by a thread, so to speak. And then at the very beginning of my second trimester, for those of you that don't know, that's when you hit about 20 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, I went to the OB and I got my regular ultrasound that I got every month. And that's when everything started shifting. I remember Jeff, my husband, came with me, and the nurse took the scan and said, "Hold on, I have to go get the doctor." And immediately I was filled with anxiety. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And the doctor comes in, and that's when he let me know that I had a condition that is called an insufficient cervix. And that just means, long story short, that my cervix was opened when it was supposed to be closed until time of birth. And because I was having preterm labor pains and contractions, they just thought that it would be best if they transferred me to the hospital straight from that office. So, the doctor goes on to feed me statistics. And he goes, oh, if your baby is born today, he could be, there's a 60% chance that he can be born blind, or there's a 50% chance that he can be born deaf, or, all these things. And I was trying to keep it together, and my husband and I walked to our car. On our way to that appointment, we had been blasting worship music and just thanking God for just this miracle, And after that happened, I felt very much defeated. I started crying in the car. I was so scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know that was just the beginning of our journey. And Jeff looked at me, he held my hand, and he was like, it's okay. Like, we're going to get through this, by the grace of God, we're going to get through this. And that's when we went to the hospital. We ended up staying in the hospital. I was having contractions. They thought that I was going to be giving birth a lot earlier than they anticipated. My baby at the time, Luke, was only 1 pound. No, less than a pound. And it was all very scary. I ended up being hospitalized on bed rest from the middle of August till October 1st. The whole point was to make sure that Luke kept cooking in there and that I didn't give birth even sooner than they anticipated. During this time, I was honestly like, I felt like I had no other choice but to look for God in a way that I hadn't before, you know? I decided to lean into what he was telling me more. I decided to embrace his comfort. I started speaking to him more. I started spending time in the Word. And one day, after about four different times, four different scares, four different times that I was transferred to labor and delivery, and they thought that I was going to give birth. Four different times of that anguish and that anxiety and going through all of that. I remember sitting in my hospital room and I was reading in the book of Luke the story of when Jesus was walking through this village, and this woman, a lot of you know the story, that had been bleeding for 12 years, she was at her last thread of hope, literally. And she heard about this Messiah, this teacher, walking through the village that performed miracles, and she dragged her body to where he was because she knew that if she could just touch the cloak, his garment, she believed that that was the miracle that she needed to be healed. And as I'm reading this story, you know, I get emotional and I'm like, wow, that woman had so much faith. She had all her eggs in one basket. She laid it all out on the line. She said, this is my last chance. If not Jesus, then who? And that kind of stuck with me. And, I really felt God telling me in that instant, you need to increase your faith. Like, your faith is what is going to open the door for your son to be born healthy, for your son to thrive, and for you guys to be okay. Because at the end of the day, God can do it. He's done it for generations. He's still performing miracles today. He's still setting the captive free. He's still, healing the sick. He is still God. And so as his children, we have access. We have direct access to God through Jesus, And so I just remember receiving that word in my heart, and saying, yeah, I need to have faith because I will not accept anything else. I will not accept defeat. And so because our tongue has so much power, I started declaring with my mouth that everything was going to be okay, that everything was going to work out, that God had not taken me there to leave me there, that God was so good and he had never failed me before. He wasn't going to fail me now. And during those days, I was listening to this song by Maverick City Music, and that's the song with Chandler Moore, Too Good to Not Believe. I would play this song on repeat every single day, and I would cry, and I would say, you're too good. I'm sorry. I got the song wrong because that was my second favorite song by Brandon Lake. The song by Maverick City is More Than Able. And I would just, read the lyrics and say them out loud, and God, you are more than able. You are more than able. You are bigger than anyone could even imagine. And there is nothing impossible for you. You are who you say you are. You are a mighty God. And Nothing is too big or too small for you. And I just kept declaring that. And friend, I'd be lying if I said that, I didn't doubt from time to time, especially with all the health issues and all the risks. And it being my first pregnancy, I didn't really know what to expect. But you know what? I remember one day I broke down and I said, Lord, I don't want to ever go through this again. I just want to make it to that day and see my son. And that is the only thing that keeps me going. And now I look back and I'm like, wow, all that was necessary. Because if not for that process, my soul wouldn't be on fire for the Lord as it is today. If not for that process, I maybe would have still had an idea of how good God was. But because of that process, I have experienced, the Bible says, taste and see that the Lord is good. And I can honestly say I've tasted, I've seen how good God is and how faithful He is and how His mercies are never ending. His love is never failing. We serve a good Father, and He has care for us. He is near to the brokenhearted. He increases our strength when we need it. He increases our strength. He is glorified through our weaknesses. And so that entire process has just kind of shifted my faith. And I'm very grateful. I grew up in church. A lot of you know my story. I went through a lot in my walk with God to get to where I am today. And by the grace of God, everything was necessary. Everything. And I wouldn't take it back. Because the Bible says that to those that have been given much, they are demanded much. And so I just want to be able to share my story in hopes that it reaches someone that is down in the trenches, in hopes that, if there's a person watching that might be hopeless or that is in a difficult season, I've heard so many different stories of, women with infertility issues that are trying to conceive, that are waiting on God for a child. Or, maybe you are struggling with your mental health today and you don't believe that you're enough and you believe that all hope is lost. No matter what the case, friend, I'm here to tell you that hope is here, and His name is Jesus, and He cares for you and He loves you, and He wants to give you the desires of your heart according to His will. He is near to the brokenhearted, and He is with you right now. He is encompassing your heart and just moving things that need to be moved. He's moving people out of your way that are keeping you from Him. And He just wants to spend time with you. He just wants a relationship with you. And I promise you, once you give Him the time of day, you'll realize that life is beautiful after all, because there's hope. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I've been there so many times. I've struggled. I've been diagnosed with so many different mental illnesses. But by the grace of God, I'm standing here today. And what didn't break me actually increased my faith. What didn't break me actually made me into the woman I am today, into a mother, into a wife. And I just want to say that you're loved. You are so loved, not just by me, but by your Savior and by your Father in heaven. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. I'm going to skip to the end and get to the good part. But I had a beautiful, beautiful boy. And I am very blessed and very grateful. So I had this little fella here, and his name is, we call him Mr. Luke. You want to say hi, Luke? Say hi to everyone. Say hi, people. By the grace of God, he is our miracle boy, and he's here today, and he's made our lives so much better. You want to say hi? Oh, don't put it in your mouth. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I just want to say that if you are waiting on the Lord for something, He is worth the wait. He wants to bless you. Jeremiah 29:11, He wants to give you hope and a future. He wants to bless you. So I'm just practicing gratitude every single day. I am focusing on the things that I have that, you know, God has blessed me with: a roof over my home, my family, you know, my incredible husband, who, by the way, shout out to him, never left my side the entire time that I was in the hospital. He was right there with me, sleeping on a cot next to me. You know, what God has, what God gives is good. It's always good. It is always worth the wait. And if I had to wait, I'd do it all over again. I'd do it all over again in a heartbeat. So I want to encourage you today. You know, last night we had a study where we talked about anxiety. And we talked about how the daily stressors of life can affect our walk with God because we focus more on other things than actually communicating and being in or abiding with Him. And if I can encourage you today, I just want to say that, you know, the Bible says the world and its desires will pass away. Money isn't everything. Fame, success, none of that is everything. The only thing that matters is the condition of your heart and the condition of your soul. Right, baby? And, you know, if your heart isn't right, and if you don't have a relationship with God, I would encourage you to just talk to Him today, to decide to follow Him today. And I promise you, life will not get easier, but I promise you that you will have hope. And I promise you that you will see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, when I was in that hospital, I only thought about the people, and I prayed for the mothers on that unit that were there alone and that were hopeless. Because by the grace of God, I at least had hope. The final word the doctors didn't have. And while I believe in medicine, I mean, I am in school to be a nurse after all, my number one doctor is Jesus. And He had the final word. And He still has the final word over my life and over your life. And so today, if you want to take a moment to just thank Him, to just talk to Him. Maybe you might be far from God. Maybe you grew up in church like me and are having a hard time finding your way right now. That's okay. I've been there. I am the prodigal daughter. You know, I was far from God, and He met me exactly where I was, and He embraced me because He cares for you. You might be, you know, the sheep that got lost. He will always leave the 99 sheep and go after you every single time. And so, friend, I just encourage you. Life is tough, but why not serve a God who has already overcome the world? I love you. And I'll be praying for you. And if there's any way, maybe, you know, you don't have someone to talk to and you want to vent, if there's any way that I can pray for you or that I can offer you some, you know, a little bit more of my story and my experience with having Luke, who, by the way, was a preemie. I didn't mention that, but he was born, they sent us home at 30 weeks, and he was born at 32 weeks. So he was a month early, and we spent about 2 weeks in the NICU, making sure that he could breathe on his own, that he could regulate his own temperature. And that was a whole other experience. But if you're a mama in this season and you're waiting and, you need someone to talk to, it gets pretty lonely. Just reach out to me. And if you're not a mom, still reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you. I love you. God bless you. And may his peace reign over your life and your home. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Mister, what are you doing? You ready to go? Say bye, guys. Say bye. Want to say something? No, you're not going to eat the microphone. No.
How will I find you?